You'll have you also there's a great YouTube channel as well. There's lots of videos on how to buy ITO, how to do this, how to do that. So they have lots of
Hello.
One thing, if I've got the right thing here. Okay. Yes, no, cancel. Oh, okay, but afterwards I'll get this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Redesign Your Life Today. Redesign Your Life Today, it's about transformation. It's about receiving guests who had big transformations in their life and who have deep stories and wisdom to share with all of us. And so I'm Daniel Kobryner, mental fitness coach, and it's my pleasure today to have a very special guest on our podcast. This is Dr. Sarah Young. So Dr. Sarah Young, she's a PhD, IMD, CCC, SLP, and she helps sensitive, overwhelmed adults with complex, often invisible health challenges to restore clarity, energy, and balance. A medical speech language pathologist and integrative medicine doctor with 20 plus years of experience and her own lived recovery from brain injury. Dr. Sarah blends neuroscience with soulful multidimensional care. She's the creator of the Neurosynapse 12-week coaching program and author of Quantum Integrated Medicine for Brain Injury. Her approach connects the dots across the physical, emotional, mental, energetic, and spiritual realms to deliver practical, research-informed strategies people can use right away. Listeners live feeling validated, hopeful, and equipped with simple, evidence-aligned steps to move from brain fog and fatigue to clarity and vitality. Dr. Sarah, welcome to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you. And my first question is, this was like a brief introduction, and I'd like you to take us through your story.
Thank you for having me, Daniel. It's a pleasure to be here. My story has so many chapters, so I'll start from where I'm at, although I have a doctorate in integrative medicine that came from a brain injury that I experienced in 2019. And that brain injury kind of took me out of the life that I had grown used to having, and I had to find a better way to rebuild my brain and really rebuild my life. And so I enrolled in a PhD program, and here we are. I learned along the way that there were so many natural and integrative things that people can do to help themselves at home. And so I'm just here to share that knowledge with everyone. But as you mentioned, your podcast is all about transformation. And I would say that would be the most recent transformation for me, Daniel. But I've had many transformations in my life. I feel that, as human beings on the path of life, we're all in a constant process of transformation and change and becoming. So I'm grateful to be here, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have specifically about my journey.
Well, thank you so much. And you see, Dr. Sarah, you said you had several transformations in your life. You mentioned 2019 brain injury. I don't know if we can go a little, deep in this. Can you tell us a little more and what the consequences there of this injury?
Yeah. So 2019 was my last brain injury. So brain injury can often be cumulative. If you have more than one in your lifetime, the effects of the following brain injuries can exacerbate the symptoms that you experience. So I was actually, in fact, born with a brain injury. I had fetal alcohol syndrome and experienced brain injuries throughout my life for different reasons. I jumped off our back porch onto a trampoline with a neighbor that was a little bit heavier than me. And when we both hit the trampoline at the same time, I went way, way, way up higher than the house and cracked my head on the way down and
Oh,
bit through my tongue. And that was in middle school. That was one of the brain injuries that I had. But the last one that you mentioned in 2019, it was a car accident. I was on my way to work at the hospital to work with people that have brain injuries and other things. And it was pouring down rain. It was springtime. And as I was driving through the roads, I was paying total attention to what was happening. But there was a tree that had fallen down in the road. And these are mountainous roads. So there wasn't really anywhere to turn off. There wasn't like a shoulder or anything. So when I swerved to avoid crashing directly into the tree, I hydroplaned and couldn't stop the car and smashed into a telephone pole and was unconscious. And when I woke up from that, I was briefly paralyzed, but thankfully my body was in shock and I regained sensation after about 6 hours. But rebuilding all of the other things that came with that accident took a lot longer. So although to most people on the outside, I looked pretty good, although I was pretty bruised. The side effects from the brain injury lasted a lot longer than the bruises did. It was difficult for me to problem solve, to remember, to come up with words. And when your job, your career is a speech pathologist, those things are extremely important that you're able to find your words and remember and problem solve. So it was quite a pickle to be in, to still be working in the field as I'm working with myself. That's where I started doing, therapy with myself. I kind of fell through all the cracks in the Western medical model, and having the knowledge that I have, just started learning whatever I could learn and incorporating, 20-minute blocks of focused cognitive therapy with myself 3 times a day with, things that were in my house or activities that I had access to. Overhauling, my nutrition plan and my sleep plan and essentially how my body creates energy, right? That's really, really important after brain injury. And paying attention to all the levels, because although brain injury is a physical injury to the brain, as you know, right? We're not only our physical body. We have a lot of other layers that we live and we experience. We experience emotional levels of how we feel. We experience thought patterns and mindset, identity, energy. I mean, everything. We all experience everything all the time, and it just became extremely evident that we really should be incorporating all of those levels in recovery as well. So that's where the multidimensional healing comes in, and I believe that's where transformation really happens.
Wow, this is such a powerful story. And I heard you saying that you kind of look after yourself every day, 20 minutes. Did you get any support from perhaps one of your colleagues, somebody who could help you with this? Or was it just you yourself?
It was me, because in the time after my brain injury, I wasn't able to work. And so I was at home for a time after that. And I just started doing that. About 20 minutes was about as long as I could stand to do any one thing, because the things that I had myself doing were challenging, and the brain can be very fatigued when you really put a lot of pressure on it. But pressure is also where you grow. So don't be afraid to do things that are challenging, because that's where your grow zone is.
Absolutely. As you know, No, I'm a mental fitness coach, and obviously this is one of the topic is that by default we stay in our comfort zone, and we don't want, it's the fear, fear of failure, of abandonment, of rejection. We've got a lot of fears, but we know that our biggest growth is on the other side of our biggest fear.
That's right.
And and I guess that when you have an accident like this, it takes a lot of resilience to
Hmm.
to overcome, because just when you were so how did you tell yourself, right, I'm going to get out of this and I'm going to go on and I'm going to be back and help people there?
Part of it is that I had some professionals telling me that my life was kind of just this is the new normal. Um, and I just have a little bit of a rebel spirit in me. I was born kind of like that. And when people tell me how my life is going to be, some part of me stands up and says, "Oh, really? Let's find out if you're right." And so when people tell me that I cannot do something, that ends up being my fuel. It's just how I'm made. And you're absolutely right when you said resilience, because as an example, when I started my PhD program, keep in mind that I did not think that I would ever finish it because I couldn't remember information very well. At that
Mhm.
point, when I started the PhD program, it was still hard for me to problem solve and organize and remember. And I wasn't 100% sure whether or not that would be what it is today. But I was willing to try. I was willing to do whatever the next thing in front of me was, even if you didn't get to the end. Perhaps you can get one new piece of information that will help you and help other people make their lives better. And so I just didn't give up. And it's not because the universe and life didn't tell me that I should, because I would listen to all those lectures, read the textbook, also read the audiobook, go through all my notes, go to take the test. And you know what? I didn't master it enough at that point to be able to pass that test. And I had to start over and I had to do all of that all over again. I had to read all the lectures, go through the textbook. And I'm not just saying one time, two times. No, I was like, no, I'm not going to not be able to learn. I'm just going to do it again. I'm going to listen to it again. I'm going to try again and we're going to do it. And so resilience is probably like etched into every cell of my being, Daniel, for sure.
Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, obviously, this resonates very much with me. And you see, something comes to mind, Dr. Sarah, when you say that, is that we've got people around ourselves, could be family, professionals, and they're going to tell us things, like, oh, it's nearly like it's over and things like that. But
Hmm.
what we have to remember is that whatever people say to us and do to us, it's got nothing to do with us. It's
Hmm.
really them reflecting
Hmm.
first, perhaps their experience, their fears, their insecurities, sometimes their childhood trauma, and they can't. So listening to you attentively, what came up is that you followed your heart and you followed your intuition, and your intuition told you, sure, I'm going to get out of this. Whatever people say, am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And you see, from whoever listens today, to just remember that it's when there's something really you want in life, it could be getting out of the situation, but even other things, you're after dreams, you really want something different in your life. Everything's possible. And don't let anybody discourage you. It's because, it's really, and we'll go, this is the next question, Dr. Sarah, because obviously I'm quite kind of spiritually minded, and I believe that, we are spiritual being in a physical body with
Hmm.
intellect, so it's like these three levels. And it's really about having certainty, having faith in ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah. Just really quickly, something came to mind when you were speaking a moment ago also.
Mhm.
And it's that if you look in history at the people that have invented impossible things like the light bulb, like the telephone, right?
Mhm.
they did not get it right the first time. They didn't get it right the second time. And they just didn't give up until those pieces came into place. And now we have all these great things, right? But if any of those people had said, oh, I didn't get it right, it failed, my experiment failed, this failed, and they just gave up and they walked away, we wouldn't have all the things that we have. So I just want to remind people that, keep knocking on that door. Um, and to the second thing that you said, I agree with you 100%. I view all of us as a spiritual being having a human experience. I don't know if you're familiar with the television show Supernatural, but they they call the body a meat suit, and I really can identify with that. Like this is more like our meat suit and who we are. It's kind of like beneath the clothes of our physical body, if you will. Um, and when you identify with that as the highest form of consciousness available to you, then really nothing is impossible because that's where all things come from and all things go and what all things are made of, right? So there's perfection by design.
Exactly. And you see, you mentioned examples which are dear to me. Talk about the light bulb, Thomas Edison. He tried 10,000 times and he says, no, okay, it's another teaching. And then it came. Think about the Wright brothers when they invented the first aeroplanes.
Mm-hmm.
They were, repairing bicycles, and people were saying, thinking that, these people are mental. No,
Mm-hmm.
they had this idea and they went on. And what happened? You see, they were so exactly whenever we've got ideas, plans, we've got to go with this because from childhood, very often, I mean, as children, very small ones, we think we can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
We become an astronaut, we become a dancer. Oh, and we believe it, sure. But then afterwards, this is kind of being toned down by our parents, environment. Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And this is when we start to shrink in
Mm-hmm.
terms of what we can do in life.
I agree with you 100%. And another little story that you would probably enjoy. Before I even had an associate's degree, and I was a different person, and I had some challenges because of some trauma that I had in my younger years. I lost my parents when I was very young. Some other things happened along the way.
Very sorry to
Um,
do that, yeah.
I had trouble being on the planet, Daniel, for a while. I didn't always want to be here like I do now.
Mhm.
And when I went to get funding for school, they basically said they didn't think that I would ever be able to complete a program. They weren't going to fund my education because they didn't think I would be here long enough to complete it, that it was kind of a waste of their time and money. So what did I do? I went out and I took student loans. And look at me now, because I did finish not only that associate's degree, but later a bachelor's degree and then 2 masters before I later even got a doctorate. So if I had listened to what that educated professional in higher education said to me when they said that I wasn't worth investing in, well, then I wouldn't be able to help the thousands of people that I have the honor and privilege to help recovery from brain injury. So keep knocking on doors, just keep standing up for your spirit and yourself and your life and saying that, you know what, I can do this, and just try one step.
Exactly, exactly. Now this is beautiful and so inspiring. And I heard you saying as well that after your brain injury, you started kind of looking at something different than traditional medicine. Would you like to give us a few words because you read, you learned? So what kind of inspired you, and which perhaps practices did you bring into your own life which really changed?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. So I definitely started looking into different things on the side. At that point, I was getting some extra education because I just love to learn. So I was getting certifications in things that you would appreciate, like emotional intelligence and, neuro-linguistic programming and those types of things. And when I saw that the PhD program had that stuff in it, as well as herbals and energetics and homeopathy, and I mean, there's just a giant list of the topics that we covered in the PhD program. But I would say that one of the most profound moments for me was in a class on biofeedback and heart rate variability when Dr. Druin had us to download an application that basically you put your finger on the sensor that your phone reads your heart rate as you breathe along with the ball that you see on the screen. And that process of watching in real time that I actually had the ability to lower my heart rate from tachycardia into like a resting peace. And subsequently, like I could feel the difference in my body, in the tension in my chest. Like I could feel the mental clarity as I went through this exercise, and just that realization that like I have control over what this physical body is doing. Like I can help to steer the ship. I am not like outside of the thing, like I can tap into that. It was one of the most empowering things. And then using that as I went through the neurofeedback class and putting on, sensors on my head to retrain the brain waves in a similar fashion of using meditation and mindfulness and bringing my body into rhythm, into balance, and realizing that I have some power here, because up until that point, I really didn't know that I had that kind of power, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but that was huge for me. And it's totally changed the way that I work with people, because when I work with somebody and they're really, really anxious, you can see that through their breath, through their eyes, through their posture, through their, in all these different things. But guess what? That's a doorway for us, right? Because we can come right in on that level and we can guide them to calm with their breathing. We can teach them how to how to how to be the CEO of their life, which they can be.
Absolutely. Again, this, I resonate very much with this because breathing, you know, I've heard this expression which really makes sense. It's like most people don't know how to breathe. Okay, we breathe normally, but when we learn, to control it, to inhale, I don't know, 5, 6 times, to hold our breath, to exhale through the mouth, and when we do it already, there's so much grounding, and obviously the people in Buddhism, kind of very much resonated when I heard about Buddhism because it's really everything it's about calming down your mind. Said about breathing, mindfulness as well, being centered, practicing gratitude, for instance, how powerful it is, meditation, all these techniques, I mean, which obviously were not really part of the Western culture, but now my feeling is that this is taking a big place because people realize that this is nature, it's efficient, and I suppose you are using it a lot with your patients.
Absolutely. It just becomes ingrained as I'm sure as you can understand, the more that I learned along the way, the more just naturally got infused into who I am as a clinician. So even as a speech pathologist, if I walk into someone's home and I'm there because they're having some cognitive challenges, maybe the first thing we need to do though is breathing. Because maybe they just went through some medical trauma, and maybe the anxiety of another medical professional coming into their life, that's a lot. And so being on the other side, Daniel, has been a game changer for me because I don't look at people as patients anymore. I look at them as multidimensional beings, that I'm here and I can help to lift them because I've walked their path. I know what that feeling is like, that panic that they're having. I've been there. I've had to breathe through that so many times. And if I hadn't had that brain injury and I hadn't had gone through the things that I had to go through, I don't think I'd be able to help people the way that I can help people on all the levels that I can help them. So my brain injury, the worst things that happen to us, they can be the best things that happen to us too.
Exactly, and I've heard that as well, that if we, again, if we kind of perhaps go on a certain spiritual path, perhaps we realize that everything in life happens for a reason, that coincidences don't exist, and people will say, oh, what do you mean? Oh, well, and okay, we believe or not, it's up to everyone to do. But when you kind of embrace it and when you start thinking, you see, there are different ways. We can think, oh, why did it happen to me? I'm the poor victim and this is it. And this circumstance, or could be, breakup or something. All right. Then it's very disempowering. But now, if we start thinking, what about if it happened for me? What is it here to teach me? Or already it's about being curious, about explore. Okay, this happened several times. Why? What can I learn? And as you say, what can I, how can I be a different person? And you said sometimes, and it's very difficult to admit, but it could be a blessing in disguise. But you see, there is this third step, which I found quite interesting, and I refer to something you said before, is that okay, things happen to me, things happen through me. What about, no, yeah, sorry, things happen to me, things happen for me. What about if we say things are going to happen through me? I'm the actor of my life. I'm I'm going to write my screenplay. And this is about taking power. So I guess I rephrased a little what you said before.
Yeah, and I would just really, to anybody that's listening, I just want you to count yourself in. You too have the ability to design your life the way that you want it. You too have the ability to be whomever and whatever you want to show up in the world. You get to decide that. No one else. Not who they told you you could be, not who they told you you could not be. It's who you choose. In each moment, you have a new choice in every breath.
Absolutely. You see it exactly. This is when we realize that, first of all, we have just one life. So we owe it to ourselves. See, everything can happen in life. So we owe it to ourselves to live it fully. It's not, we don't live it for others, but it's really for us. And of course, to bring the best to the world and the best out of ourselves. And it means being accountable, but it means being responsible. But when we do this, and I heard this saying, which was really resonated with me, is we become what we think all day long.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what I like to, an example of this that I like to suggest is that you're a co-creator.
Yes.
And every thought you think, whether you project that in your mind on the loudspeaker in between the two ears, or you're saying it out loud, the thoughts that you're saying out loud, right? Pretend that it's a fast food, you're going through a fast food place, right? And whatever you say or think in this case, you're asking the universe for it, right? So if I am all day long and I'm going, oh, I'm so sick. Oh, I'm brain injured. Oh man, I'm broken. All these bad things have happened to me. How am I ever going to be okay? What am I projecting? I'm asking the universe for more broken, more bad, more all the things, right? That's what I'm focusing on. That's what I'm going to get. And I also equally, even if I don't believe it sometimes, have the opportunity to say, I am grateful, I am becoming, I am learning, I am growing, I am always remembering my wholeness, and I can focus on that instead. I can choose those thoughts instead. I can say those things out loud instead, even on the days where I might not think that. But what am I ordering up? What am I ordering up? So I just encourage, just to piggyback off of exactly what you were just saying, it has power. You're a powerful being. So take responsibility for that. Energy follows thought.
Well, thank you so much. And one thing I'll add to this, it's in our thoughts, we've got our conscious mind, and people said it represents just 5% of the mind, if I'm correct, and 95% is the subconscious mind. These are these habits which we learn very often as children, and it's come from an environment. Of course, there's a little bit of genetics, but a big part is really the way we are raised. And by the age of 7, we've taken habits from others. We take things without filter. We are like in hypnosis, I think, until the age of 7. And you'd correct me because you are the expert in this matter. But when we when we realize that actually our thoughts are getting impressed on our subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind doesn't differentiate between what's real and what not. So as you said, if we tell ourselves every day that we are bad and that things are never going to work out, it's going to happen. So now, see, I remember the first time I practiced affirmations. I have to say, it looked very strange to me. It was like, right, I'm powerful, I'm this. But the more I started doing this, the more it kind of became natural. And I was speaking I'm in front of my mirror with a smile. But it's only afterwards that I heard that this is really how you impress your subconscious mind. So even before going to bed, if your thoughts are about grateful, just think about three things you had during the day. Could be a smile of someone, could be a little action, little victories. But the more we practice this, and we can have as well a gratitude journal where we write it down, the more we are going to be appeased. And of course, if we do it just before sleeping, this is the best moment, because during the night, and perhaps you can tell us a little bit how it works, but if I understand properly, the way the mind works, it's like the next morning, a lot of the things which we really said in the evening are going to have an effect on that.
Absolutely. One thing that I've done in my life, especially when I've had a not great day, not great days can sometimes make you feel like the next day is also not going to be great. They can leave an impression like that. And so one thing that has been helpful for me is when I have a day like that, before I go to bed, I have a conversation with myself and I say, you know what, you did a really good job today. There's a lot of stuff that came your way and it was really challenging, and good job for all the things that you did. And tomorrow is going to be better. That's right. Tomorrow is going to be better than today. And then what do? I imagine what tomorrow's going to look like. And I imagine all the ways it's going to be better, all the ways that I'm going to feel better, how I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to stretch and I'm going to breathe and I'm going to feel good. And I imagine all of these things and I do all of that before I go to bed. And you're right. I have found that it makes a very big difference when I take the time to spend with myself and to be loving with myself and to kind of pre-program the next day. 100% of the time, I've always had a better day. I can't remember a time that I did that process and then was like, oh, I still had a bad day. Never happened. It's just never happened for me. And maybe it has for you, but for me, it's always worked.
You see, it's beautiful. And tell me if I'm correct or not, but wouldn't be one of your habits in the morning when you wake up just to say yourself on the same vein, today is going to be a fantastic day. Today is
Absolutely.
going to be wonderful. And when we do that, I mean, from my experience is, say, how do you call it? This, like the reticular system. There's a word, RRT or something. There's a word.
Yeah, reticular activating system.
Yes, thank you. Reticular articular system. It's going to look for evidence of what we say and say to ourselves. So if we tell us it's going to be a great day, it's going to look and things are going to be great. Now, if we are telling us, oh, it's a bad start, we'll find everything evidence, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And be loving with yourself. That's really, really important. You are the only one that can be with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and all the levels that is. So really, you're the only one that can really be kind to yourself in 100% wholeness of what that means. And I just say, don't undercount that. Be kind to yourself. Be loving with yourself. Acknowledge what you've done and don't beat yourself up when you make mistakes. We're human and humans are going to do that. That's what we're kind of designed to do.
Exactly. I love it, when you say that. And it's as well, I mean, I use the word practicing self-love, and it's understanding that we are not perfect. Perfection doesn't exist. We've got imperfection, and so we've got to embrace them actually. And when we start being really completely at peace with ourselves, the way we are, because when we are born, we are made perfect. We are perfect from the Creator. And so and it's only when we are in peace with ourselves, when we become grounded, when we live every moment with mindfulness, we live in the present moment, we are giving, we are caring, we are sharing, then our emotional state changes. And this is where our vibrations elevate. And this is how we are creating new relationship with others and the universe.
Absolutely.
So your take, I guess we are very much on par, I think, if I may
Yes.
say that, on the
Mhm.
spiritual level. And this is, you mentioned something about, making mistakes. Well, the way we can look at it, it's we tried something. Okay, it didn't give us a result we wanted. How can we do differently? So, of course, I used to beat myself up for some things in the past, and now I don't. I mean, of course, I understand, but what can I learn from this? How can be the next step?
Yeah, we're programmed that way through life. Like you were mentioning earlier, every experience that we have, everything that we see people doing, human beings learn by seeing, by experiencing. But you know what? Maybe the way you were programmed, maybe it wasn't quite the way that is going to be beneficial for your life. I know that the way I was programmed, I had to reprogram lots of different aspects of my thought processes or the way I eat but you have the power there. That's the thing. It's like you always have an opportunity to level up, and you can use your stumbling blocks as stepping stones instead if you choose it, you know?
Absolutely, Dr. Sarah. And I guess one important element in this is that very often it's not easy to do it just ourselves. It means that it's good to get support from professionals like yourself, could be coaches, people who are going to make you aware, because most people are not even aware about these programs, are they?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of levels, right? So what I'm doing with the neurosynergy integrative health, I want to work with people and incorporate all of the levels, because the way that I really feel about it in my healing journey, multidimensional beings need multidimensional care.
Mhm.
And we can run around for this person that deals with the brain organ, and then this person, they help me with my thought process, and like we could piece it out. But I guess what I'm trying to do as I help people recover, or in my relationships with people, right, is just to honor them as multidimensional beings, to pay attention to all the different levels, to incorporate that, because you're a whole being. You're not nuts and bolts. I mean, yeah, you have a physical body too, and that's very important, and professionals are very important. I'm not at all saying that Western medicine is bad. There's absolutely a place for Western medicine. There are absolutely times that we need it. All we're saying in the integrative realm is that there's a lot to be said for prevention, and there's a lot to be said for improving your lifestyle, your wholeness, before you get to the stage of disease, right? So Western medicine, they take you at your place of disease when you're like 80% into disease, then they intervene. And integrative medicine, we're saying, but let's not wait till we get to 80%. How about we look at everything up until that, and we work there, and we improve health and balance there. So, and that's worked for me personally in my journey.
Well, and again, this resonates a lot with me because it's same for me. When I when we start looking at the causes, at the roots of and actually even in the body, I mean, most diseases, most conditions, they are linked with emotions. And when people understand it, I, I was fortunate to meet some how do you say, yeah, emotional medicine healers and people who just work on just on emotions, for instance, could be on the chakras, because each we've got this
Mm-hmm.
there are plenty, but there are 7 main chakras, and when they are blocked, that energy
Yeah.
is prevented from flowing, and when it doesn't flow, it can't go. So when we work on that, and when you talk about integrative medicine, what comes to mind as well for me, it's looking at health holistically, thinking that health, it's about of course, it's about the body, it's about eating well, it's about uh, perhaps sometimes, I mean, could be practicing intermittent diet or having enough sleep, having enough hydration, but as well, it's about looking our mental health, our emotional health, our spiritual health. And when we really take all these aspects, this is when we really manage to, I think, to live the best life we can.
Absolutely. I agree.
So, and Dr. Sarah, I mean, can I ask you, for instance, you had many patients and you're having, do you want to share 1 or 2 examples of really like big transformations you've seen with some of your patients? Of course, without names and things, but just people you took at a certain stage, like, and what did they reach?
I've had such a blessing. I really feel blessed that I have an honor to serve people in the way that I do. I really am grateful that I
Mm,
get to be the person that's, walks beside people. When people first start working with me, they often are right where I was after
mhm.
my accident, where I couldn't remember and I couldn't find my words, and not finding my words caused lots of anxiety and lots of other things. And it's really great to be able to incorporate the way I work with people. And on the other side, I can see that that person has more love for themselves. They have more compassion for themselves. Um, they have a different perspective. They're kinder. They want to learn more. They can absolutely remember more and speak better and all of those things. But I mean, those are the technical things, but for me, the part that makes my heart happy is that the people that I work with are more loving with themselves. They're more compassionate with themselves. And that matters to me. That's what makes the world go round, Daniel, is loving, you know?
Well, you see, I so much, so much resonate with this, so much because this is huge transformation people are experiencing. I mean, they are going to live differently. They are going to be more grounded, going to be more joyful, to be grateful for what they have and who they are. And you see, for me, it's the same thing. Why did I become a mental fitness coach? Is really to help people understanding where they are now with these saboteurs which prevent them from living the life they have. And again, it's voices, it's not them. Some people are perfectionists, are overthinkers, are victims. When you realize that, and when you know that it's a program, and as you said before, we have the possibility to change it. We have the possibility to come in our sage mode, to train these muscles in our brain, where we have the clarity, the confidence, and the calm to live another life. And this is my reward, when I see people
Hmm.
with a big smile and they said,
That's it.
they have changes that would never have imagined they could have. You see, it's like it's so fulfilling.
That's it.
It's like a calling, it's really like a
Hmm.
mission,
Absolutely. No, absolutely, 100%. And it's the reason I wake up in the morning. Not kidding at all. I mean, it really is. We're blessed, Daniel, that we get to lift people. We get to help people in lifting themselves in the way that we do. I mean, we got it made. I feel that the way that I get to work with people, yes, it's a calling. And I'm just grateful to God that I've been entrusted in the space to where I can help people on that level. And I'm sure you feel the same way,
I'm,
just
I'm,
gratitude.
I'm feeling the same. But see, what you can say as well is that you've been entrusted by God, but you did the work as well. You see, it's like, so it's good to have the ideas. A lot of people have knowledge and know how to do things, but they never do things because there's this gap between knowing and between doing. So the idea as well is taking action, taking the first step, as you say. I'm going to read, I'm going to try to remember this, for 10 minutes, and I try again, and you try it again, and many times, and afterwards it was like it came. But if you hadn't done all this job, if you hadn't had this
Mhm.
resilience, you wouldn't be where you are today. So it's this as well, that when we have something at heart, we have to give it our best, because we cannot never blame others or circumstances. It's really what, if we know we've done all what we can do, this is really what, yeah, this will be very, fulfilling. And I mean, this has been a fascinating conversation, and it could be last for hours, but I'm going to ask you this question. If you had like 3 tips for our listeners, just to, in terms of transformation, what would they be, Dr. Sarah?
I would say explore breathing. There's lots of techniques out there, variations on how to use breathing to enhance your life and to improve your health and well-being. So there's number one. Number two, um, get in alignment with your circadian rhythms. So your body is designed to kind of rise with the sun and set with the moon when the moon comes up. And most of us aren't living a life that is really designed for rest. So, get in line with your circadian rhythms, meaning improve your rest. Make sure you're getting plenty of sleep and rest. Number three, be more loving with yourself and forgive whatever judgments keep coming your way. Remember that you're kind of designed to be judgmental. It's part of how you're raised on the planet. We're told this is bad and this is right and this is wrong. And don't judge that, but just consider that you have the opportunity today, right now, to say to yourself, I forgive myself for the judgments that I'm holding against myself. And I love myself no matter what. And even if you don't believe it, say it again. Be resilient. Don't stop giving up hope.
This is absolutely beautiful. And these saboteurs, the one we all have, this is the judge. This is the master saboteur. We all judge ourselves, judge circumstances, and judge others. And when we catch our thoughts that we are doing this, we can rephrase it. We do these PQ reps, these little exercises. Could be about touching, could be about breathing, could be about listening. And when we do that, we stop, we breathe, and then things change. So again, it's about training ourselves. We can do this, and this has been absolutely fantastic. And when our listeners would like to be in touch with you, what's the best way, Dr. Sarah?
I'm on a lot of socials, but if you want to reach out to me, neurosynergyhealth.com. That's my website. You're welcome to book a free 30-minute consult. I also have a lot of free resources on my website that can help you in your journey in health and healing. So that's neurosynergyhealth.com, neurosynergyhealth.com.
Thank you so much. And obviously, all the details will be in the footnotes of the interview. So I really want to thank you so much. It was fascinating. And I hope that everybody who listened carefully, took something, because there's really a lot of I don't know if the word wisdom, but there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience and care and yeah, and love in this. So just it was really beautiful. And to all the auditors, thank you so much for being with us. And I hope you had a very enjoyable moment. And
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
thank you so much. And so I say, everyone, enjoy this episode and listen to it again. And I'll see you at the next episode. Thank you very much for being there. Bye bye.